This is Popping the Bubble with hosts Sandra Ponce de Leon and Pete A. Turner.
I'm Dr. Erik Viirre, the Medical and Technical Director of the Quallcomm Tricorder XPrize, and you are listening to Popping the Bubble.
That was easy.
Perfect.
I'm in LA. Jon is co-hosting and guesting for Sandra, who's up in San Francisco working on SF New Tech and a bunch of other things. So we're down here at XPrize headquarters, and we're sitting across from, well, literally, and I think Jon and I are pretty smart guys. You're smarter than both of us combined, and then you lapped us again.
No.
Your credentials are ridiculous.
Not at all.
MD, PhD, Dr. Viirre is the Medical and Technical Director of the Qualcomm Tricorder XPrize and the Nokia Sensing X Challenge. His primary appointments, adjunct professor at UCSD Departments of Neurosciences, Surgery, and Cognitive Science. Your clinical specialties are vertigo, balance problems, and tinnitus, all of which Pete has.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So we may not discuss those things, but we do want to.
I got the lumbago.
The lumbago. You've also participated in a variety of startup companies, including Zero G Corporation and AutoSound LLC, which is bringing to market technology for treatment of tinnitus that you developed and patented at UCSD. And that makes you uniquely qualified, I think, to head the XPrize Foundation as the technical director. So what did you see this year? What made this year exciting?
Well, this year was exciting because we've been on a long, long road. As Paul Jacobs said last night, a 5-year mission to seek out new life and new civilization.
Look at you with your Star Trek reference.
Well, we're Star Trek. I mean, we're Trekkies. And, you know, we don't want to wait till the 23rd century. We want to have this stuff now, right?
Yeah.
So we got communicators.
Let's pause on that for a minute.
Transport is a little way away.
Isn't it amazing how quickly we've gotten to almost the 23rd century? I mean, relatively speaking, we're talking about technologies that were fiction that are becoming true 20 to 30 years later, not 300 years later.
Exactly.
Yeah, touch screen controls. To run a spacecraft. I mean, we all have touchscreen controls every day in our life now. It's incredible.
And of course, you asked what's exciting? Tricorders are exciting.
Yes.
You always wanted the tricorder, Mr. Spock and Dr. McCoy out there.
Right.
And so these people were inspired and went out and built these things.
Can we pay?
And that was what's exciting this year.
Can we pay the bills real quick? Tell us what Qualcomm's role is with the XPrize Foundation.
Sure. Oh, and we have to, first of all, acknowledge our sponsor, and it's Qualcomm Foundation and its director, Paul Jacobs, who were the donors of the funds for the Qualcomm Tricorder XPrize, and really, literally inspired by the Star Trek tricorder. So Paul, like everybody else, and as you know, a major techno geek, I think I can call him that.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and like us, wanted to have a tricorder. His company helps build communicators like we have. But
they brought that to life early.
They did, that's right. So
let's move on to the next one, which is the tricorder.
Absolutely. And in fact, that's exactly what they said.
Wow.
And so Peter Diamandis, the founder of the XPrize, with his technology, and I will say that Peter's technology is incentives, making people do things for the good of humanity.
Sure.
And prizes are one of those technologies.
Right.
And so he literally, within weeks of Paul Jacobs saying, we should be thinking about building tricorders, went down and said, we got to have a prize for tricorders. And that was it.
How do we spur innovation? We spur competition. How do we spur competition? We offer up some juicy prizes.
Absolutely. Big time prizes.
Yeah.
So it was.
What were the prizes?
Is turtle wax involved?
Hey,
rice-a-roni.
Turtles all the way down. Is that the one? Yeah. So the prizes, we had several prizes last night at our awards ceremony. It was really fun. Even the teams that didn't make the final 2 teams and the tests were offered the opportunity to say, hey, we got innovative stuff on board our system.
Right.
You should take a look at that. Yep. And competed for the Bold Innovation Award. And so Team Cloud DX won $100,000.
That's not
for the Bold Innovator Award and really cool technologies on board their tricorder platform.
Wow.
And then
don't blow past that.
And they also garnished the attention of everyone.
This is it.
Big
right
time.
Here. Yeah. I mean, because they're in a funding cycle because you always are in that thing. So
You
here
were
we are.
always in a funding
Right.
cycle.
We won the XPrize.
Yep. Bold Innovator Award.
Right.
So
and you can take that to your angels and your venture capitalists
you
and
can
say,
take
this
that
is
to
what
market.
we're doing.
Absolutely. And they are. I was talking to Team Cloud DX,
sure.
and they are absolutely doing that.
I just want to acknowledge that we're talking about an event that happened just last night.
That's right.
And here we are this morning, and they've already lined it up. I'm sure it's
They're
already
working it.
published on
They're
their
working
website.
it. Oh,
They're
you
linking
got it.
people to it. And
Well,
saying,
and
"Look
it's
at what we
published
won."
on our website as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so XPrize, the teams are our heroes. Our job through the funds from the Qualcomm Foundation is to make these teams successful.
Right. Stimulate heroism.
That's exactly right. And again, beautifully, even through this Bold Award, you didn't win the big prize, but you did some really cool, innovative stuff, and we
and
believe
it keeps you in the innovation game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So even the folks who didn't win the whole thing are given something that really is valuable to them. And I think that's fantastic.
Well, and it's 90% of success is showing up. And just competing in an XPrize, we believe, makes you a winner.
Yeah.
And it sounds trite, kind of a saying, but if you have to sit down and look at the list of stuff that we are going to make you do to try and win this serious money, you have to think about it and think hard. And that spurs the innovation and ideas and putting things together.
I'm glad
It's like coming in third in Hall of Fame votes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. It's unfortunate that Willie McCovey came in third this year.
Uh-huh.
Maybe he'll be in the running next year. Well, guess what? He's still Willie McCovey.
So I always think about the XPrize in contrast or in comparison to the Olympics.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, of course, the Nobel Prize, when do you win a Nobel Prize? 20 years later, right? You've made your invention and you've done all this and then finally you get the Nobel Prize.
Right.
XPrize, you win the prize when you win.
So you're standing on the
got
podium
in that
right now.
Olympic stadium and you went around and you jumped the pole vault. Our event is like the decathlon.
Erik saved me, by the way, from a yogiism, because when you said that 90% of it is showing up, I almost said the other 90% is hard work.
And you know what? You're right.
Right.
That's totally a yogiism.
Absolutely. And no, I think it's a truth.
Yeah.
So the funny thing about who's the happiest person on the Olympic podium?
The gold medal winner?
No,
the bronze medal winner. Yes.
Because I got there. I got the medal. And the second prize.
I knew I wasn't going to beat that guy, but I'm on the podium.
That's right.
Hey, Mom.
That's right. So, and of course, the gold and silver are pretty darn happy, too.
Yeah.
And so our gold and riffing on that, our gold and silver award winners are two fantastic teams. Team Dynamical Biomarkers from Taiwan won our second prize. And again, just a fabulous team with a gorgeous, beautifully industrial design system. And we love their international model. So CK Peng, the team lead, we had a talk with him once at one of our team meetings, and he said, "So CK, how did you get HTC, the big cell phone company, to sponsor your team?" And he said, 300 million Chinese don't have a doctor.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And so that's their thing.
That is enormous.
Taking these tricorders to people who never had a doctor.
Yeah.
And they may get to them before they get to Americans.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And that number comprises really what is our entire population.
Exactly.
So
no doctors at
all. Right.
That's right. That's right. So then our gold prize medal winner, $2.5 million, Team Final Frontier.
See, they had the name. They had the right name.
They had the spirit. See, they read the books. They saw the show.
Yes.
They had the Star Trek spirit, And again, just a wonderful family with close collaborators, and showed, a small team can change the world, right? And they're out there doing it. And with real world experience, I think that's what really put them on the top of the podium, that they were there and had a physician. So the 8 doctors come on. And so it's, it's an interesting thing here. The doctors are the leads in the things that might change the job of a doctor.
Right.
Maybe not take the doctor's job away, but make it different.
Who better, though, really?
Well, Well, sometimes you have to look from outside within.
That's true.
But
But that can happen once you have the start of the tricorder existing. There can be a guy that says, well, this is what we need to do.
That's right.
I mean, hospitals are run by administrators.
Yes.
You know, here's how I'm going to use this data to change how my doctors provide care. Sure.
Well, so which kind of goes along with my personal goal of participating in this competition, which was to make the term tricorder a term of art. So rather than something that the geeky kids watched in the basement, no, Star Trek is this positive view of the future. The tricorder was a crucial technology that really made, was the thing a part of life in the 23rd century. I wanted them now. And now the word tricorder is out there.
Yep.
So, okay, so let me give you guys my quiz, and
all right.
you can have the inside track here now. So,
All right.
So what's the term tri in tricorder stand for?
Tri-tip.
Well, there you go.
We have a winner. Did somebody say
All
tri-tip?
right.
What
That's
time is it?
right.
I almost went into a full
I'm
T
more
there.
of a surf and turf kind of guy by now.
All right. Well, that's fine. Hey, you can make that too.
Well, there you go. So the tri in tricorder stands for biological, meteorological, and geological.
All right.
So it's a system not just for the body, but of course, Mr. Spock used it to examine the planets and look at the atmosphere. Is this an M-class planet and all this kind of stuff? So the tricorders are bigger than just looking after people. So again, I want my tricorder. I want it now, and these people are working to really build them for us.
I told you Eric was smarter than both of us.
I know,
Mike,
but
'cause
I thought his
that question-
primary function in the XPrize competition was getting chicks.
No, it is.
Well,
We
He's
talked
doing that
about
right now.
right? Okay.
He's extracting questions from my head. Meanwhile, he's talking up ladies back in the back bar back there. But he's sitting right here.
Okay.
That's
Wow.
how powerful he is.
Now you're blowing my cover, guy.
Okay, sorry.
No, but yeah, that was the next thing is just what else do you examine with the tricorder? Yeah, you pointed at something. You're like, what is this comprised of? Is this going to change geology? And I'm just kind of making things up.
Absolutely. We should have these platforms. We're sitting here with all our smartphones right on the table in front of us. They're going to have more and more sensors built into them for looking at our own selves, but then looking out in the world. So, for example, in our Nokia Sensing X challenge, which was really cool, which we looked for sensors that would ultimately be built into the tricorders, we included environmental sensors. And we had an environmental sensor winner as part of the first Nokia Sensing X challenge for water quality and air quality. And of course, for your life, here we are in Los Angeles, 30 years ago, you couldn't go out and breathe the air, and people measure that stuff.
Yeah.
And what's happening to you and your personal exposure makes a difference. So the Fitbit kind of thing that measures your body movement is going to be more and more sensors to sense your environment and what you're exposed to.
So do you envision, or maybe I should really separate the sensing from the diagnosis technology, but I mean, we're talking now about sensors that can detect natural disasters sooner because of atmospheric conditions or geological conditions.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I mean, that's a lot going on at once.
That's right. And of course, the network of tricorders working together will also be looking for things like epidemics and where the seismic activity is coming from and where the weather changes are starting to sweep across, given geological area. So they will talk to each other.
The combination of circumstances that lead to epidemics long before they arrive somewhere.
Absolutely.
So when
also help you meet girls. So.
The ladies.
Now we're talking about the incentive activities that really spark innovation.
I'm being incentivized with tri-tip and ladies.
That's right. Yeah. So with all of that, the mission is trying to tie together.
Yes.
What do you see as quickly as 2 or 3 years from now?
Well, so I've already been in discussions with our competitors. They are expected to have some of their devices FDA cleared within that time interval.
Wow.
Well, these are experienced people who've already done the job. They've done these things. They put sensors. We already have individual things like blood sugar sensors that now will talk to blood insulin pumps to control your blood sugar in an integrated fashion. So that's a single thing. That's blood sugar.
Sure.
But what we're going to have is all lined up in a row will be all these new things, the infections and your blood pressure and your hormone levels. And all those things are going to come. And this is happening now. So they're building these things. And the way I see a tricorder, and we were just talking about sensors, it'd be kind of like a Legos where you put the blocks in and the different blocks fit right all together perfectly. And they talk to each other. And now you have this next capability and the next capability.
I'm going to do a show here fairly soon with a guy that works for the Orange County. He works in the natural conservation business.
Okay.
And he works for the county. And one of the things they're starting to do now is as bird people go out and take pictures, it populates a bird database, location, geotracked, all these things. And they're like, okay, this is normal. This isn't.
Yes.
But also invasive things like mustard, and then if you can jump on it earlier, or these melaleucas that have sprouted out, you can now start to make the right decisions now instead of having an 80-year problem.
Yep.
Does this kind of fit in also into the tricorder world?
Absolutely. So there's a really neat technology called the barcode of life, which can identify what a specific species of individual plant and even things like bacteria are comprised of, and most importantly, tell you how many there are. So with the barcode of life, with these different DNA technologies, which is another XPrize winner.
So many. Have you heard about the
DNA
popping the bubble XPrize winner? Because we could use a check right about now.
Well, there you go. That's right. So absolutely, DNA sensing and counting that will be part of these systems. They're starting again to build individual modules of DNA sensors, so they'll plug right into the tricorders, and that data will gather together. So that it'll be the DNA data plus the environmental data that will tell us what these climate change effects are or pollution effects are. So you're exactly right. It's looking without and within, which is what we want with our tricorders.
All of that sounds awesome.
It is.
Tell me, what are the problems that you guys foresee? Because it can't all be peaches and cream. It's got to be something bad.
So the big bad bear is ironically the big data again.
Okay.
In other words, so many things that will be mixed together. How do you sift that out? Okay. So, and we saw this, it was a big part of the challenge in the humans that we tested. Humans are humans. A human is not a person with pneumonia. A human is a person with pneumonia plus this, plus that, and this. And so when these different sensors have to work and then start asking questions, have you been coughing? Do you have a fever? Do you feel dizzy? And sorting all that sort of thing out is a big deal rather than, we take a blood sample and do a chemical measurement and that's your blood sugar. Okay. But now managing your diabetes with your diet and your activity, that really makes a difference. But the neat part is the computer Mark I in the head here puts those things together. So diabetics, again, are a perfect example. And in fact, our competition designer, Jessica Ching, who's just fantastic, helped us use that as an example where empowering people with the sensors and their treatment and giving them the power to say, all right, today, you know what, I'm going out and running an extra 5K, so I don't need so much insulin because I'm going to burn up a lot of glucose, so I'm lightening up my glucose load. And so the human working with the sensors will be the key to putting those things together. But the big data is a hard problem and a non-trivial problem for us as the people who test tricorders, as well as the teams who are building them.
Yeah, it seems to me that as we get these new advances, and we can look back a long time, the decisions we make in that moment are oftentimes wrong. Like
Sure.
We've got all this new data, especially with global warming, climate change, whatever you want to call it. Even if it's real, all right, what are we going to do about it? Okay, you're going to bring bags to the store. That's great. But really, no shit. What are we going to do about this?
Yes.
And when humans start doing things like planting melaleuca trees in a swamp, all of a sudden you realize 50 years later, we can't kill these things. We didn't want the swamp drained. What do we do? So
we shouldn't have brought these nutrients to Avery Island.
Well, that's right. Yeah. Unintended consequences. Sure.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the big data problem is do you get bigger problems?
Yes, I think so. So it's smarter views of data and sifting through that We tried to do that in the design of our competition, where teams were instructed that they had to provide us data about the individual components of their technology as it was working. And dumping that to the cloud. So it just didn't give us the answer. It's like back in school, show us your work.
Show us your work.
That's right. And it had to show us their work in order for us to accept the result.
Right.
And furthermore, what we said was, okay, before we start, you send us a description of what your system is going to do and how it does it. And then we're going to check against that in the show your work, it did what you said it was going to do.
Right. And then when we show our work, what ends up, I think the analysis, the ability to prioritize the quality of the analysis. So in other words, wow, these guys are all showing us their work and we're getting really good work from, these data sets. And these are the ones that we should prioritize.
Yes.
Wow.
I want to use diabetes work within this example for me with diabetes. As you get diabetes and you get older in the disease, your body does less responding to it. You've got measuring, and we've got great new tools to measure that kind of thing. Is there something that we're going to get out of this? So as the body becomes like, hey, great, there's not enough insulin, there's too much sugar, whatever it's going to be, I'm going to start shaking. When that starts to go away, is there some kind of sensor that's going to say, hey, alert, wake up, you need to eat something?
Well, or not eat that.
Or not. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's right.
Put down the Snickers.
That's right. That's the warning bell right there. Well, so insulin resistance is what you're talking about. That's right. And so ironically, we're going back to the barcode thing for a moment. It turns out that the composition of bacteria in your body determines how much insulin and glucose your body absorbs as well. What's inside your gut affects how that is processed. And so this is going to be another tricorder kind of thing. We're going to have to know your bacterial composition. And if you get, let's say you get an infection and you go and get the penicillin, well, you know what? That changes the way your body works.
Right.
And the story I like to tell is, how do they get chickens to grow fast? They give them antibiotics.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're talking again about sensing things, which gives you a clearer picture. I mean, I was marveling the other day, when I went to the doctor, stethoscope. It's super old technology and it's good for what it does.
It still really works.
It still really works. But when you look at the whole system of a body and blood and everything else, maybe I don't need 800 milligrams of whatever. Maybe I need 750.
Yes.
And then also I need you to drink some coffee and slowly work a more specific personal metabolized medicine protocol.
Well, in fact, there's a really neat example of that, which again goes to tricorders by knowing what's going on with your body. A couple of years ago, they did a study where they looked at people with blood pressure, and they had three groups. One, people they didn't give them any advice. Two, they gave the standard dose of the blood pressure medicine. But group three were given instructions on how to modify the dose based on their own blood pressure. So when the people were empowered with the information, they had the best blood pressure control. And so again, information empowers the individual, the consumer, people to take control of their health. And that gives the best result that all the doctors want, which was better blood pressure control.
Wow.
It is wow.
Yeah. I mean, really, and it's something that could easily have been the recognition of the balance. Could have been overlooked.
Absolutely. That's right.
Wow.
So as I say, the empowering people to take control of their health was what we've really wanted to show with this competition. As I say, now people hear the word tricorder and it has a real meaning.
There's a reality.
Yeah, absolutely. So 23rd century is really getting closer.
It's coming. It's coming fast. And then what are we going to do?
Well, then we'll be able to enjoy our lives, and without the fear of losing our health, without the fear of losing our ability to think, to feel well, and take the best of being humans. That's what we'll do.
Not one more word.
Yeah, that's
all
perfect.
Right.
Thank you for joining us. I really appreciate not only your appearance on Popping the Bubble, but of course, all of the work that you're doing and the fact that it seems like you're going to solve all our problems early and that you've foreseen the problems that you're going to attack after that. it's amazing to be around, and the energy that's here that you've created with the competition is infectious.
It's a special place, and it's a great honor to be part of XPrize and to work with this program.
Such a neat time to be around. I think back to like that late 1800s, early 1900s, where, Marconi's got a wireless and you're talking across enormous distances, and he's standing around in Paris going, those Wright brothers are flying through the air on an aeroplane, and all these things. You look back and you think, wow, that's such a neat time. But here we are in a similar time where we're leaping forward.
But they thought also that, wow, we've solved the major problems. Meanwhile, there's some guy in the corner going, what are we going to do about this syphilis?
Jonas Salk is like, I think I might have an answer in 50 years.
Well, and they did.
They did. And so it is super fantastic. Tell us how we can find out more about XPrizes and all of the winners and all those things.
So please go to our website, xprize.org. We also have Twitter and Facebook feeds. You can check us out there. Tweet your thoughts about the competition. We love to hear them, and your ideas for the next competition.
Yes.
We're always looking for what the next big problem we can solve for humanity.
Yeah. So thank you, Qualcomm. Thank you, Nokia. And thank you, Dr. Erik Viirre.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, man.